G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. I'm David. Today I'm going to do something that I think a lot of people are very scared to do, repotting advanced trees, show quality trees, really advanced level or nice and advanced level trees, especially when it comes to black pines or the conifer species. There's always this reluctance to repot as often. I mean, there are points of not having to repot as much, but there's sometimes I find some trees that I work on for people, I have a look, take the roots out, and they haven't been, even though they say it's been repotted, all they did was take it out of the pot, put it in another pot. They didn't touch the roots. They're kind of scared, which is understandable. It's an advanced tree. You don't want to risk its health and so on. But if you time it right timing of the year, there shouldn't be any issues with a repot of advanced trees. Be smart in when you repot, and then the aftercare is important too. If you've got a nice mild spring, then you're laughing. I mean, most people do. Nice mild spring, that's all you need. I don't repot anything in autumn. That's one thing, a lesson I learned. I know some people like to repot conifers in autumn. I just don't do it. There's a little bit of risk. As soon as there's a little bit of risk, I stop. I don't do it. So there's really very minimal risk unless you do something silly like repot and take all the roots off and cut more than half off, things like that, or wash the soil for pines. You don't wash the soil because it's got beneficial mycorrhiza in the soil, things like that. You just have to be smart about these things. Don't go too crazy. So today, this black pine, nice and advanced, it's been wide, all the nice, you can see the candles are starting to elongate a little bit. It's perfect timing, really. It's been a warm winter here in Melbourne. It's a very warm winter. It's very windy still. You can see the wind flowing everywhere. But it's also, this tree is due for a repot because the water is just kind of sitting on the surface. It doesn't flow through well anymore. And it's been a long time in this pot. And I'm thinking of changing the pot. However, I don't have the exact right pot. So I'm going to have a look at a couple of options. It depends how big the root ball is and what I reduce to, or it could just go back in this pot. So we'll see how we go. But first thing, I was just having a look. It's really quite compact around. So usually I have to get my root hook and go around the sides of the pot. Like it's almost, I'm almost doing a root prune automatically like this, just doing this, trying to get the soil out of it. So I'll just work my way around. Now, sometimes I just try and test it to see if it comes out. Oh, there you go. Nicely came out then. There's enough. Oh, let's put this pot aside. Oh, just for now. Now, there is nice mycorrhiza, but I can't show you. It's on the back here, but I'll get to it. But I really need to comb some of these roots out because this tree was acquired a few years ago. And it's not in my mix. So that's the other thing. I really want to get it into my own mix, my soil mix. So, and it's a bit too fine. Like it's quite dense, this mix. Now I'll show you some nice white mycorrhiza there. You see that whiteness? That's good. That's a good sign. The roots are really starting to move. But as I was worried, this tree is pretty much, when it was repotted, they just take it out, put it in another pot. They didn't actually do anything to the roots, looks like. So it's disappointing that happens, but it's what happens. Nothing you can do about it. So I'm just going to quickly give it a nice comb out. Always make sure you comb it out. Don't try and cut massive things out of this. That's what the other thing I do. Take the time, comb out the roots. You need a couple of root hooks, like that's a good one. Or this strong two-pronged one is a good one too. That helps really well as well. And if you don't use the right mix, what happens is the roots just crawl around the bottom usually. And it's not the best. Not the best. You know, you want it to have fine roots up higher up and so on. So I'm going to keep going away, keep doing this until I'm happy with the size of the root ball. So as I mentioned, I think the previous owner hadn't repotted this in a while. And it's really not compact. It's really compact at the top. And this is the main issue. Look at this. It's like a frisbee's formed at the bottom. I'll just show you it. I wanted to show you how it looks. It looks terrible. Like it's a big, huge plate that's just formed. You know, That's just bad. When it does that, it's been way too long since it's been repotted. So I can almost break it off with my hands. So just let me cut all that off. That's what I see. Like that, I see that way too often. You know, if you got that, there's no water getting through that, and that's the main issue. No water getting through. It's really quite bone dry. So it's actually really important that I have repotted this tree. It's just terrible. So again, you make sure you listen to your trees. When water's not flowing through, you really need to think about repotting, and that's terrible. When you repot, actually do a proper repot. So that's a frisbee, and I'll just frisbee that into the bin behind you. Worked perfectly. So really, I need to do a bit more combing out just to get the water penetrating through. So I'll go away, just keep working on this just slowly, because I do want to take some time to get this right, especially at the surface here, at the top of the surface. It's got a magnificent abari, and I just need to work around that to try and penetrate the soil at the top so that will flow through. I'm not going to wash at all. You should never wash black pines. Don't do it. So I'm just going to just get as much as I can brushed out in terms of the roots, and then I'm going to put new soil and repot it, of course. And then, you know, in a couple of years' time, I'll do it in again, and hopefully get to improve the soil over time. You can't really improve it in one go when it's like this. All right, so that's about all I'm going to do in terms of root reduction on this first time doing it. That's plenty. Actually, that's a bit too much, but I couldn't do much about it without cutting that big pad at the bottom. What I've done is I've left some of this old soil. Now, the reason I've left it is there's mycorrhiza fungi here, the white stuff. Now, I'll sprinkle that into the soil when I look at repotting it. Now, I will have a look at maybe some other options for pots, but I'm not convinced they're going to fit. So I'm just going to have a quick look at that. All right, so I actually did select a new pot. It's a little bit smaller from this way, so I need to make sure it fits all right, but I think it looks better in this, and I just got to get the right perfect position in the pot and let it hang over. I think it looks nice, better than the square one. I just felt the square one was a bit too heavy, like a very heavy set pot, which if it was a bigger tree it would look good. This is a bit, like, because it's a bit smaller, this is a slightly smaller pot, more round, gives it that nice kind of element of balance, I think, for me anyway. But I've got to get the soil in the pot before I do anything else. Let's see how much that mounded up. Oh, I'm just going to turn it. I think I picked that as the front of the pot anyway, so let's have a look. Probably put a bit too much soil, actually. Mount it back up. That's better. Now it's just a matter of finding the perfect position. I didn't want it too far that side in the pot because I want it to come over, but I didn't want it like too far, just or in the middle. I wanted it just slightly off center, and somewhere in there. First go looks pretty good. I think that looks pretty good there. So it's going to be good. I think I'm just going to go with that. I'll check it one more time and I'll tie it in. The soil, making sure it is nice and compact underneath it. This will be quite a bit of work making sure the soil's underneath when I'm actually putting the rest of the soil in. It looks good. Looks really good. Yeah, looks perfect. I think that's a great position. So I'm just going to tie the tree in now and then get soil. Probably put some soil underneath it first before I tie it in. All right, so here's the final product. I've given it a good water, watering in, and I've applied some granule fertilizer on top. That's pretty much it. I'm just going to leave it in the same spot that it came from in the garden, so it gets the same everything, same sunshine, same wind, same rain, same everything. So it's where it's used to be. That's where it's going to go back to. Aftercare, you really just need to let this tree grow. It's currently August here, so in winter, end of winter, early spring. Come December is when we do our, because it's summer, so come December I'll look at candle cutting, but I always assess the tree. If the tree is not strong enough, hasn't really pushed big candles and strong, therefore the roots aren't strong, so I'm not going to decandle it. So that's the only issue. But then come autumn, I will do some, selecting back and things like that, pruning back. But for now, it really needs time to recover. It shouldn't have any issues. I did have to remove that big whole pad at the bottom, which is unfortunate. There's not much you can do with trees like that. So you had to remove that. The tree should have no issues. It's got a lot of green. So all this green will transform into the roots. These candles are already growing and elongating, which is fantastic, which they should continue to do. And it just should feed the roots, grow the roots, and then the roots can push all the energy next year for this tree. So currently it's like the tree has the energy from the roots already from autumn, winter, has all that energy built up, pushing all these candles. And now in spring, it will elongate those candles, and then the photosynthesis happens, and then it will start growing the roots again. So kind of that process. But if I'm more worried about December, summertime, cutting all the candles off and slowing that process, I might not get the new buds in autumn. So, when you cut all the candles in summer, you get multiple buds at one cut point for black pines, and you get that in autumn. So I'm just worried about that. So I'm not sure if that will work or that will happen. So that's why maybe I'll just assess how the tree's going. But all in all, let's talk about the pot. It's a Japanese pot, two-tone. It's got those two-tone colors. Got that lighter brown in the middle and a little bit darker at the top and bottom. Looks quite nice, rounder. It looks a bit more balanced with the tree, a little more subtle than the harsh lines of the square pot. So I think it's come up really nice. I didn't expect it to go in this, but it worked out really well actually. So I'm happy with it. Again, let the tree recover and off it goes. I didn't show you one bit where I worked the mycorrhiza from the old soil into the soil here when I used chopsticks and worked it in. So I just added a bit of that mycorrhiza from the old soil as well. So that's pretty much it. And I hope you guys, don't be afraid to repot your advanced trees. It's all about the timing. All about the timing. That's all it is. I never repot in autumn anymore, and only repot late, deciduous trees in winter, coming towards the end of winter. And these guys probably early spring more than late winter. So once it really warms up, I start to do my conifers. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you back for more.